What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Doctorly Unhinged. I'm Dr. Shah.
I'm Dr. Maxfield.
And we have potentially the world's greatest episode today. We're going to give quick life update, product of the day, as usual. We're going to finish up a little bit of the Buzzfeed's most recommended products. We're going to be talking about doing your skincare on the airplane while you're traveling. We have very strong opinions about this. And whether or not men should be getting into skincare more often and how to actually acquire those customers, a new campaign from Cetaphil, whether you like it or not. And I think there's going to be something about some sharks in here. We're also going to touch on hypochlorous acid. So first, quick life update. What do you got going on?
So right now I am traveling. This is our podcast on the go. That was a hammer. And you may hear some construction going on around me. There's a lot changing. I'm going to be moving, and so I'm in a new office here in Tennessee. It is currently being renovated. It's amazing. Met some amazing people here. Our new staff is incredible. So huge, exciting weekend for me. Just with, again, can't tell you enough. The people are making it. They're incredible.
Amazing. I met some of the staff today through a FaceTime, so I'm excited to meet them in real life. And I think you took them to Topgolf, which is a very nice thing.
Yeah, that was after we made some commercials together. We're like, all right, let's do some Topgolf, break the ice a little bit more. It's good.
Okay. All right. Product of the day. What do you got going on?
Okay. So this one is actually it's a mineral sunscreen, and it's the Sun Bum Baby Bum mineral sunscreen. It's good. So if you, another one of those mineral sunscreens that breaks the rules, if you're looking for an active sunscreen, a water resistant sunscreen that's mineral, if you're afraid of chemicals, don't want to use chemicals, want something very gentle, it's great for you as an adult. It's great for your kids. It actually blends very well. So highly recommend it. Been using that. I use it as I was running here, again, 195 degrees. Oh my gosh. But I ran another few miles yesterday with this on. Amazing. Great product.
I love it. Okay. I think we're just going to do sunscreens as our product of the day through the summer is the plan. I'm trying to find the full ingredient list of this one product just to make sure I don't say anything crazy. But the product of the day for me, and it looks clear on the ingredient list before I recommend it, is the Kiehl's Better Screen UV Serum. So this is a sunscreen, also SPF 50. It's a chemical sunscreen, no white cast. I actually liked it quite a bit. I used it yesterday. The reason why I used it is because our friend Dr. Tomasian, who's a dermatologist in the LA area, the PR mailer that came, his face was on the box. So I'm like, oh, this looks cool. So I actually tried it out, and no, it actually is a really, really nice sunscreen. So shout out to Dr. Tomasian. That's the sunscreen that I'm currently wearing on my face right now. And then shout out to the hair revamp that Garnier Fructis hair filler system did for me. My hair was wrecked from all the travel. And I challenge you, Dr. Maxfield, try this hair system from Garnier, their hair filler system. It's like a pre-shampoo, kind of like Olaplex's pre-shampoo, except this one's citric acid based. I want you to try this shampoo and see how much healthier your hair is after just one use.
Done. I will 100% get that. There's something actually we should talk about this at length. At one point, citric acid in the hair, there's a lot of nuance around that ingredient in hair care. So I love it. Excited about that. I will 100% try it.
All right, let's hop into number 11 on our list from Buzzfeed as the products you cannot live without. And that number 11 is the Milk Piggy carbonated bubble clay mask. So this is a bubble clay mask that basically when you put it on, it starts to bubble from actual, I think, what's in it? It's like carbonated.
Yeah, I think it is just a carbonated product. So this one, it looks wild. And as you know, everyone who listens to Few, this is actually a reshoot. We touched on this product. I am super excited to try this product. I bought it a couple weeks ago. I am holding it for a legitimate first use on camera for our YouTube. So this is going to be one of the products I'm going to have us try next time we shoot. I'm super excited. Now, having said that, okay, well, you know what? I'll hold on the formal definitive opinion on this when we make it on YouTube. I think it looks gimmicky. I'm leaning towards gimmicky, but we'll have a definitive, strong opinion on this soon.
All right, we'll definitely check it out. So we're not going to give our opinion now, but I'll give you some flags that, that's got peppermint in it. But what's actually causing this thing to foam up, I found it last time and I'm trying to find it today. Well, we'll figure it out. And once we try it, we'll do a full video on it. This product comes from South Korea, so it's probably Pretty cool. And it's got 17,000 ratings on Amazon. So this is no joke. Then is the Revlon Volcanic Face Roller. So this one's super popular on social media. It's this like roller, pretty cool looking device looking thing that you roll over the face to help control excess oil throughout the day.
Now this product still kind of confuses me a little bit. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this is actually volcanic rock, right? And the purpose of this is to absorb oil throughout the day. And I'm going to look at the ingredient list.
So
here.
It says we use a real volcanic stone, is porous, and it helps absorb oil from the face. And you have to replace the stone every 6 months. And you basically just roll it over your face, especially in the T-zone, and it just helps to absorb oil from the volcanic stone.
I think I'm interested in this product. I actually really want to try it. I feel like this is one of those things that once you get your hands on, maybe you'll love it. I do have what do you think about the hygiene of the thing though? You rubbing it over your face for 6 months straight, same product?
I don't know. Does volcanic stone have like antimicrobial properties? We don't know.
Good question. No clue.
So it's supposed to be a substitute for blotting papers. Now, were you ever a blotting paper guy?
No, but when we do these photo shoots, I know I need it because when you do these photo shoots, they'll come at you with the blotting paper once you get a whisper of oil, and I find that they come after me quite aggressively and frequently during these filming sessions. So I know I need it, but I've never been someone to use it on my own.
I used to carry them around when I was in high school or undergrad, like a long time ago, and they work really well. It doesn't even make sense from a mechanism standpoint. So I'm going to say something that's pure pseudoscience right now, but it almost felt like the more I used it, the more I needed it. And it doesn't make sense from a scientific standpoint. So I would like to hear from the comments if anyone who's used blotting papers felt like they needed it more the more they used it. It doesn't make any sense why your body would produce more oil to compensate for oil that you're using, that you're absorbing. But it was a subjective feeling that this was happening. So I don't know. The next product is the Sol de Janeiro Bum Bum Cream with caffeine. And, in this review over here, they show, so this on the Buzzfeed article that we're looking at, and we'll show it on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, but it's a Bum Bum Cream that has caffeine in it. And they show a before and after of somebody with cellulite, and then their cellulite disappears with this pistachio, salted caramel, and vanilla scented product. So what are your thoughts on this overall?
So the first product, not even going into the ingredients whatsoever, that before and after is wild, and 0% chance that that's the result you get. Like it's almost like I don't know, almost criminal to show something like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe someone sent that in to the company, was like, hey, these are my before and afters, or I don't know where they got it for this BuzzFeed post. That's wild. This cream is not going to deliver those results for you. Unfortunately, I wish they did. But even from the pictures, like it just looks like the shadowing is different. It's like darker all over. I don't know. I have no confidence that it's going to deliver like that.
Yeah, 0% chance it works like this. Now, caffeine has been shown, I think, in some small studies to be beneficial for cellulite, but you're not even gonna get a result like this if you get a procedure done in the office. That's probably the closest way you could get a result like this, is if you actually had a several $1,000 procedure in the office. There is no cream on earth that is going to accomplish this. I've also seen this. It's called like pineapple boobs on TikTok Shop lately, and it's supposed to be a firming cream for your breasts. Again, no skincare product is going to lift your breasts. It's just not physically possible, and it's criminal that these people are making these types of this type of content out there. Now, Sol de Janeiro products smell phenomenal. No one's going to argue against that. Just kind of like Bath and Body Works does. Yeah. But performance-wise, do not expect this. Is it a nice moisturizer? Is it going to keep your skin hydrated? Yes. Does it smell phenomenal? Yes. Is it going to do any of these things? No.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The next product, number 14. This one's interesting. A stainless steel spatula. If you don't know what these are, they're exactly that. It's basically a blunt spatula you scrape across your face, your nose, and it removes gunk. If you haven't seen it before, you can go to our YouTube. There is a short of Dr. Shah reacting to it and explaining it, it is a dramatic thing. I mean, well, I'll let you lead on this one, but what is your thought on the pore spatula?
So pore spatulas are really good for facials. Like, so if you're going to see, you're going to get a facial by an esthetician somewhere at a facial studio. Maybe you come to our facial studio in New York. Shout out Aesthetica Skin Lab. If you come check it out there, the esthetician that we have is going to use a pore spatula on your face. It's going to vibrate. It's going to help to clear out your pores, but she's going to use it with the right pressure, the right angle, so you're not bruising your face. And it's not something you're going to want to use every day. So this is good as part of a facial to basically factory reset your skin. I've said the analogy in the past. I think facials are like getting your car detailed. It's like a higher level of clean than when you normally wash your face. And it is helpful to kind of clear out your pores, but it's not something you want to be doing every day. It's not something you want to be doing at home. And it's something that could be helpful if you did it occasionally at the office.
Yeah, the occasional deep clean. Interestingly, common ground on this and something like a pore strip is they both serve the same purpose. Deep clean, both can be rough and abrasive for the skin itself. So yeah, I don't know. If you're going to use this occasionally, the way you see it though, it looks wildly aggressive. So I'd say be a little more gentle than you might see on the videos. But your day-to-day skincare routine is going to do the bulk of the work for your oil control.
Oh, we're going to get into number 16 in a second here. But CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser is a gentle cleanser. It's great. If you have dry skin, really good product. It doesn't foam and is in my experience, in my personal opinion of cleansers, I don't like that experience that it feels like you're rubbing lotion on your face. Mm-hmm. Some people love it, but are the ingredients great? Yes. Is it going to be an effective cleanser? Yes. Is it going to maintain your skin health? Yes. But is it a good experience? In my opinion, no.
Yeah, so number 15, CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser, exactly that. If you have dry, sensitive, stripped skin, it's a perfect foil for that. It serves its dedicated purpose well. But similarly, yeah, I don't enjoy the experience of it. I like a little bit of a lather to a lot of lather myself. But again, that doesn't matter. It actually does what it says it does, and it does a good job.
I actually like a medium lather now that you
like a medium.
So CeraVe Hydrating Cream to Foam Cleanser has been my go-to cleanser because it does have that medium foam. And over foam, I feel like I'm going to suffocate. I'm like, I can't get it off my face. You know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't stop foaming. You feel like you can't escape the suds. That's the situation I get myself in with the over foaming cleansers.
What's a product that over foams though? What's an example of that? Where does the La Roche-Posay Ultra fall? Like the
no, that's not an over foaming cleanser. There's a
medium too.
A medium. There is a product, a Japanese cleanser, that is the craziest foaming cleanser you'll ever use. It feels like you wash your face with dishwashing soap afterwards.
Oh, geez.
But people love the product. Number 16, and some foreshadowing here, is the Truly Beauty Boob Polish. Now, according to Buzzfeed, this firms and tightens the skin around your boobies, if that's something you're looking to do. Its acai and retinol formula helps smooth skin while also reducing the appearance of fine lines and stretch marks. So it does have retinol in it, which I actually do think a lot of people would benefit from a low dose of retinol on the chest, especially because a lot of people get sun damage on the chest, especially if you wear low cut shirts and you get that poikilodermatous change, which is that brown and red and white kind of blotchiness that occurs on the chest and redness that occurs on the chest. And we also see a lot of skin cancers on the chest when people wear low cut shirts, especially in highly sun exposed regions of the country. So I do think it's reasonable to put retinol on your chest, but it's just not gonna, they're literally showing the before and afters of a breast lift in the pictures here. I mean, it's just completely asinine to believe that this would do that. And it's criminal because it's not even the consumer's fault. It's the advertisers. To even advertise that a product is going to do this is criminal.
Completely agree. Like, the overpromising of skincare in general is one of my personal pet peeves. I'm extremely passionate about that. And I 0% believe with this one that you're going to get those results. I mean, you are a snack, like the branding on this says, but I don't think this is the way to go. Again, though, I would love people to use retinol on their body. Like, I would love people to start using their face products, their retinols, their retinoids, their sunscreens on their body. That would be a huge win for them years down the road. They would never regret it. But this one is going to underdeliver, I'm sure.
Positive of that. 17 is the and exclamation mark, body butt sheet masks. It leaves your cheeks feeling moisturized and skin looking plump. They'll help tone and contour your booty with plant-based collagen so your full body can get self-care treatment too. Hey, your bum deserves TLC too. Yo, this is crazy. These are sheet masks for the buttocks, and people are wasting their money on this. This again is an asinine thing, no pun intended. This is crazy that this is a product. You do not need for a fact, you do not need this product. Now, however, Dr. Maxfield is not against sampling products clearly on social media with his most recent armpit post. So if you want him to try this product out, we're not, he may get censored on social for this one, but
oh my gosh,
he clearly doesn't know the rules of engagement on social media.
Clearly. However, yeah, this one's probably beyond me. I'm trying for the life of me to find the ingredient list, but it looks like it's four things: plant-based collagen, HA, aloe, and chamomile. I mean, I would just venture. Oh, wait, here's the full ingredient list. So there's the actives, and then not a whole lot more, actually. Really not a whole lot more. I mean, if you want to take this butt cheek and slap it on your face, this butt cheek sheet and slap it on your face, rather, that would be good. It's free of fragrance, it says. Interesting, some other weird call outs. It's free of urea, free of T, unless TEA stands for something else that I don't understand. And then free of detergents. Kind of a weird free list, and there's a few more things. But
it's like putting things in there that would never be in there, right? It's like free of bugs. It's like, well, why would there be bugs in there? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, don't buy this product. However, you could, if you felt so inclined to give your booty TLC, I would use my facial sheet mask on my butt in that order. So face, then butt. So any extra you have, go plop it down there if you felt so inclined to do so.
That's fair. Sure.
Next up is the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen, number 18 on our list. This is a cult favorite. We like it. It's invisible. Great sunscreen. If you're looking for a sunscreen that doesn't feel like a sunscreen at all, that's the product for you. Number 19, La Roche-Posay sunscreen. It is an SPF 60 sunscreen. They don't say which one it is, and there's a ton of sunscreens. So I'm going to see what they linked out to here on Amazon.
The link was the Anthelios Clear.
Dry Touch Anthelios Clear Skin Sunscreen with SPF 60.
Oh, this one is good.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I think I did a video. I think this was, I didn't know how to frame it, so I didn't post it, but I did a blind test with myself between US and European and Korean sunscreens, just so I had the bias removed. And I think this one in particular was one of them that I particularly liked. And I felt like the aesthetics were so good, I would have pegged it as a not American sunscreen. And I think it just goes to kind of show it is chemical, and that's why. Yep, exactly. So just like the sunscreen you talked about before from Kiehl's, you can have very aesthetic sunscreens from America if you just take your bias away, take the whole stigma around US sunscreens away. This is one of those that's going to feel good, sit well, be effective, and you're probably going to love it.
I usually use the Melton Milk, which is a little bit dewier. This one's got silica at the top of the list, so it's going to be really good at absorbing oil. So I haven't tried that one, so I can't give my comments on it. And then finally, 20 is a facial steamer. Thoughts on facial steamers?
No. So I think okay, let's play this logically. Okay, sure. Maybe if you get your face warm and wet, ingredients might absorb better. But I tell you what, most of us are warm and wet at some point throughout the day. So I highly recommend, if you're going for more absorption, just applying your ingredients to your wet skin after the shower. You can do that deliberately. There could be a reason for it. I utilize that myself, actually, in certain areas with retinoids to get a little extra absorption. But you don't need a steamer for this. I think it's absolutely unnecessary.
Agree with you. So steamers are really good to kind of loosen gunk in your pores. So before a facial, if you have your esthetician steam your face, that's probably a good thing. They're probably trying to soften up some of those sebaceous filaments, make them easier to extract with your pore spatula.
Fair.
However, definitely not something useful at home. And one of the risks at home is a lot of conditions are triggered by heat, like melasma. So you could potentially make those things worse. So Totally on board with that. Let's move off of the list because we've reached number 20 on the list, and let's go on to our next article. And I actually have very strong opinions about this. So the article is coming from the Independent. Influencer sparks outrage after showing off 15-minute skincare routine in plain bathroom. So, what are your thoughts on first question, doing a 15-minute skincare routine in the plain bathroom? That's question one. And then part two of this will be just skincare on planes in general.
Okay, so skincare on a plane in a bathroom for 15 minutes. I think the whole point of this is that's rude. Let me just say that is very rude to do, if only because airline bathrooms are small and there's not many of them. So a lot of people are probably waiting for that use. Also I've tried to, it's not functional. It's hard to like splash your face in there. So even just the practicality aside, for you and yourself, I think there's a better way to do your skincare when you're going to be traveling a long period of time. But we'll get into that next. But what about you? How do you think about this 15 minutes in the bathroom on the plane?
What do I think about this? One, I think some people I was trying to think of the word for this, low social conscientiousness, low social awareness. I'm not sure how to describe it, but there are certain people who are very conscious of people around them when they're in public, right? They try to not do things that affect other people negatively. So an example of this would be somebody who at the gym re-racks their weights, right? That's a socially conscious thing to do. I'm probably using the wrong term and I can't think of it right now. But there are people who have high EQ that essentially go around and do things like very self-aware of what's happening around them and try to be conscious, right? They make sure that they put the toilet seat down. They make sure that they don't leave water splashed everywhere. And then there are people who just don't care about anybody around them. Ultimately, I just saw like a TikTok yesterday that I was watching about this guy talking about like friends who have like low social awareness. And an example of that would be when you go out to dinner and one person puts their card down and everyone's expected to Venmo that person. But there's always like the one friend who just never Venmos, or you have to keep following up with them. And then the original friend who put their card down basically turns into like a debt collector of the friend. And nobody wants to be the friend that has to be the debt collector, but it's also socially unaware to make your friend become the debt collector ultimately. So I just think this shows super low social awareness and is super rude, especially when people have to go to the bathroom. You have people on the planes who are pregnant or, have smaller bladders or you have prostatitis, and large prostates, and they got to get up and they got to go to the bathroom. You can't lock up the bathroom for 15 minutes. That's very low social awareness. Now, the larger idea of doing skincare on the plane, in general, I have never done any skincare on the plane ever.
So the only thing I've done on the plane in my seat is like my hypochlorous acid spray. It's like, but that's because it's a sanitizer. So I'm sanitizing my stuff around me. I'm sanitizing my hands. And if that counts as skincare, then I've done it. And so multiple times. I've done a few spoofs on the idea of flying and doing your skincare because I think there's a couple ways around it. The reasons you would want to not do it on the plane in general, though, are one, hygiene. Like everything is kind of dirty around you. And so you probably have very dirty hands from your travel time in the airport already. So you might be putting a lot of germs from your hands onto your face unless you're particularly careful. And you can't do a thorough wash and rinse from your seat there either. And then the other side of it is how many steps do you have? How many ingredients can you put on your lap while you're doing a full skincare routine from your seat? And then the other side of it is more like what you were saying with the social awareness. Is it distracting? Is it rude? Or is it impacting the people around you based off of what you're doing? And yes, you can probably do a lot of it from your seat without really encroaching on your neighbor's space, but there's probably a lot that you could do that would.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this because there's a couple of reasons. One, I actually think hypochlorous acid on the plane is pretty smart because I do think that just like all the stuff, especially if you're in like New York City, like all the pollution and dirt and debris, like, just kind of sanitizing that's important. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about hypochlorous acid if we have time here, but maybe that's going to be later for next episode. But I think it's getting a little bit on the overhyped side. We're going a little too far with what hypochlorous acid is going to do for you, but I do love the ingredient overall. my thoughts on this is there's this idea that you need to wear a lot of sunscreen on the plane and maybe more sunscreen than you normally would. And I would make the argument that the data does not suggest that. There was some evidence that airplane pilots had more melanoma and airline attendants had more melanoma and skin cancers than the general population. So it led people to believe ultimately that the plane you were getting more UV exposure on the plane than you were in like average life, right? So they thought, okay, more skin cancer must mean you're getting more UV exposure on the plane because you're higher, closer to the sun. There's less atmosphere that's absorbing your UV rays, and so it's higher risk. Just like being in Denver, you have higher elevation and the sun's going to be a little bit harsher, right? And so the thesis was, well, something's happening on planes that's causing skin cancer in people. And so maybe people should be wearing sunscreen on the plane more than they would in any other scenario. Now, I would always assert that everyone should be wearing sunscreen in general on a day-to-day basis, but I don't think that you need to be wearing more sunscreen on a plane than you would under normal circumstances. So there is an article from 2017 from some type of aerospace article, and I'll just kind of read the synopsis here, but basically says, few studies have assessed the level of UV radiation in planes. They suggest that cockpit windshields reduce this type of radiation to some degree. People were concerned that you would get not only UVA and UVB exposure, but you would also get UVC exposure on planes. But this study shows that there was no UVC exposure on planes, and there was some UVA exposure, but it was less than on ground, in fact. So apparently the plane windows and in the cockpit for the pilots as well, if there's a sun visor, I guess, on the plane and there's some type of shielding that occurs, that it's actually less than it is on ground. So there's no increased reason why you should be wearing sunscreen on the plane. So, definitely wear sunscreen, but there's no reason to be extra cautious on the plane than you would in any other circumstances. Now, there's some conflicting studies, but this one seemed to summarize all of them. And I feel strongly that you don't need to change your behaviors.
Okay, so if we're not supposed to do more on the plane, then, and especially for the short flights, but what about for people who are on the 8-hour flight, 9-hour flights, 10-hour flights? I've been traveling a lot more lately myself and have come across this, but I had this like simple epiphany. I was like, oh, I'm just going to do it before I get on the plane. I was like, how is this not the video that everyone's like putting up? Is it just because it's a public restroom where they feel like they can't film it? Or like, what's the problem? Because, I'm hopping on an 8 or 9-hour flight overnight. Like, I want to wash my face. I want to put on my retinoid. I want to do this stuff. And so I do. I just go into the bathroom before the plane boards. I do the whole thing, brush my teeth, wash my face, put on my retinoid, put it into my bag, into my other bag, and I get on the plane and I'm set for the whole flight. So that's how I recommend taking care of your skin if you're going to be on a plane and if you're going to be on a long flight.
Right. It's not like you're on the flight for days where it would require like a new skincare cycle to occur, right? It's not like a 24 hours went by because no flight is that long, right? And you have to like reapply, you know what I mean? So you're kind of in a situation where there's actually no reason why, as long as you're early to the flight, that you would have to repeat your skincare routine on the plane. So I think doctorly dogma, skincare on the plane is we're against it, but if you do it, I'm not gonna like clown you or anything like that, but I will judge you. So let's go on to this new Cetaphil men's skincare campaign. I kind of find this. So Cetaphil did this campaign for the Super Bowl where they showed how the daughter became into football, or somehow Cetaphil brought together a daughter and her dad around Super Bowl because they met together on some type of common ground or whatever. And Cetaphil was kind of like the main theme of this, right? So now they're kind of doubling down on this idea of men in skincare and trying to embrace skincare in men. And they put the Cetaphil in a 6-pack of like what would look like a 6-pack of beer, except they filled it with skincare products, and they're calling it the Ceta 6-pack. And I just don't think we need to do this, like to get guys into skincare. Like, does it have to be in the form of beer? Does it have to be in the form of, something very hyper masculine in order to get men into skincare? I mean, I understand there are like frictions, right? Like if a guy is doing skincare, like your family members, like let's say you're a teenager, you decide you want to get into skincare, you're a guy, and then your dad's like, hey, what are you doing? Type of thing, right? So I could see that happening, but skincare, especially some of these brands like Cetaphil, CeraVe, like they're really more skin health focused brands, right? So, I mean, all we have to do is like, message this idea that taking care of your skin is the healthy and hygienic thing to do. You don't need to put it in like men applying like skincare in like a war scenario, I feel, in order to get people to apply skincare.
So that's fair. I kind of like initially had a different take, but I do agree with your sentiment here because there is like for guys, this taking care of your skin and especially like the idea of applying serums and all these steps in skincare really have not been something that we've historically done. And so you do have like your average guy who is just completely separate from this discussion, separate from this world. And so I think you do need to find some sort of common ground with just that group of people that brings them in and like lets them feel comfortable. So I don't actually mind. I don't do it because almost all skincare is just completely like unisex. I mean, we very rarely emphasize the differences because there are so few when it comes to how to take care of your skin. But if you do want to bring people into this conversation who have not been a part of it before or not a part of it now, I think you do need to find them and kind of meet them where they're at. So I like Lumen as I think a good example of a brand that does have some male branded skincare. Their products, some of their products are pretty good, and it's just like flat black packaging. And okay, so is that too far or is that acceptable? I think it's acceptable because I think, again, you're just trying to meet them where they are, to bring them into this world, to help them take care of their skin. Now, the six pack of skincare, I do agree. I think that's a little over the top and probably unnecessary. But I would like to see more guys just take care of their skin and do it well and be consistent with it. I mean, even in the office, I think we do see this dichotomous split where you have young men and they struggle with the daily routines perhaps more than their counterparts. And so I would like to see that improve because I think skincare is for everyone. And I think guys especially need to be encouraged to do this as well.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. And my opinion actually did change on this at first because I was against the black packaging and this concept of there's a product it was like a makeup product that came out for men and they called it war paint or something like this. And this is a while back now, but there was a male content creator who kind of made a video about how it's not really that inappropriate to do this because like let's say you're a guy and you want to get into makeup or you want to get into skincare and all the societal pressures are telling you that this is not something you should be doing or this is not for you, but you want to do it. This is a sort of your gateway into getting into that space. And so maybe you have somebody who's in your family who's going to criticize you heavily for it. So he kind of explained it in a way more eloquent than I'm explaining it right now, but the concept essentially was that this is a way for men to get into skincare when they want to get into skincare. It's essentially their gateway. But I don't think you need to put the products in like a beer format. Plus, like, what does that say for men? Who, actually, I think a lot of like the quote unquote manosphere has actually moved away from drinking, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Just in general, because there's a lot of podcasters who've spoken about the negative effects of drinking in general. So you actually hear a lot of people moving away from alcohol. So it seems to be like an odd thing to sort of lean into right now. Anyway, I think there are other ways to signal that skincare is for men better than this. I don't think it's not the worst campaign I've ever seen, but I do think like there are better ways to do it. And maybe even just having people who look like you and sound like you being the ambassadors for these brands is also a segue into that, right? I think a lot of people need to see people that they can relate to bring them into something, right? So even just using male ambassadors of people who look like them, do the same activities as them, that's probably your way of really bringing people into this.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I actually get stopped a lot on the streets. I mean, pretty decent amount. And with that very sentiment from guys just coming up to me and just like, thank you so much for speaking about skincare. It's so nice to like just have a guy talking like that I can relate to, that made me feel comfortable taking care of my skin that way. I really feel like that's one of the most common comments I get. when there is some sort of sentiment expressed. So I do feel like it's valuable to have someone who looks like you, that you relate to, that kind of welcomes you and warms you into this space.
100%. I would say most of our audience is female. More than half of the people that come up to me are guys. So I do think that we, by speaking about this, we're bringing a whole new group of people into skincare. We have probably the largest male audience of any skincare dermatology creator on social media, even though it's not the majority of our audience. It's like 20%. That's still larger than most, right? So we have this larger audience of men that are interested in skincare, and we're bringing them into skincare for the first time and speaking in a language that's relatable to them and a lifestyle that's relatable to them. You're talking about surfing and applying sunscreen. Nobody else is talking about that, right? So I feel like this is something that is helpful to a lot of people, and a lot of men have told me, "Hey, I'm not your typical skincare demographic, but I watched your content and I went into the dermatologist because of you, and I got diagnosed with a skin cancer because I saw your content." So it's very, very helpful. I just want to let you know. So I do think that there are better ways to open up this demographic than leaning into just like, traditional men activities.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will be back next week to finish up our BuzzFeed list and hit on some of the topics we didn't hit on today, like hypochlorous acid. Have a lot to say on that one. And we will see you all next week. Thank you all so much for sticking around with us.
Yeah, we appreciate you all. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.